If you're currently selling on Amazon and you want to increase your sales and do it in less time, this video is going to be perfect for you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing what a repricer is and how it works, why Amazon sellers need to have a repricer in their business, and when is the right time to actually invest your money in a repricer and take the time to learn how to use one. Also, by the way, if you're new to my channel, nice to meet you. My name is Steve and I've been selling on Amazon for over 10 years. And over the last 5 years, I started using a repricer. I use this repricer called Be Cool. And in that 5-year period, I've sold over 30,000 products for over $3 million. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Be sure to smash that like button and let's get into the first part of this video, which is what exactly is a repricer? So in a nutshell, kind of like how it sounds, a repricer is a software that automatically changes your Amazon price for you without you having to go in and manually adjust the prices. In other words, it essentially is watching your competitors and it raises and lowers the price of your listings based on the rules that you set up inside of the repricer. And again, the important part here is it's automatically done. You're not having to manually do it yourself. Now, a couple things that you have to keep in mind on Amazon is number one, Amazon is one listing with many sellers. It's not like eBay where you might have a specific product and you have 50 different listings. On Amazon, all of the sellers are on one specific listing. Also, number two, you have to keep in mind that prices are changing all of the time. And if you're not pricing your items competitively, you're not going to win the buy box. And I'm going to talk about in the next section why it's so important to make sure you're pricing your items to win the buy box. Also, the great thing about a repricer is it doesn't just reprice your inventory one time per day, although you could set up that rule. A repricer, depending on how you set up your repricer, you can have it reprice your items multiple times per day. So let's dive into 4 reasons why you might want to consider getting a repricer, and let's dive a little bit deeper. Number one, Amazon is a buy box platform. You might not realize this, but 80 to 90% of the sales on Amazon of the items that you're selling are being purchased because you're winning the buy box. Now, one thing that people get wrong is they think that in order to win the buy box, you have to be the lowest price, but that's not necessarily true. The key here is you need to be competitively priced. If you're 5th, 8th, 10th in line, you're going to have a tough time winning the buy box. So this is another reason why it's so important to have a repricer, because it keeps you competitive to win that buy box. Again, 80 to 90% of the sales are coming through the buy box. So just think of it this way. If you're not priced competitively, and again, you don't have to be the lowest price, you're not going to be getting that buy box rotation, and the buy box rotates amongst various sellers. So you're not going to be getting that buy box rotation. And if you're priced wrong, I mean, essentially you're just losing visibility. You're sitting on Amazon and nobody is seeing your offer. Now, I'm assuming you're probably a savvy Amazon seller and a savvy Amazon buyer. So you probably are thinking to yourself, well, I'm just going to go in, manually click through all of the listings and find the cheapest one or the best one. While that makes sense, there is data to prove this, that 80 to 90% of the sales are coming through the buy box. People are just not doing that. They're literally going to a listing and they're clicking buy it now, add to cart, which is the buy box that is rotating. So again, I know I've said this like 10 times already, having your items priced competitively with the help of a repricer makes it so much easier to win the buy box, which is going to get you that sale. Now, the second reason why you might want to consider getting a repricer is because manual repricing without a repricer, it works. I mean, it definitely works. But the thing is, when you have a small amount, maybe 10, 20, 30 listings, it's manageable. But what happens when you have 50, 70, 100, 200? I mean, in my business, we have over 300 active listings and we just sold out during Q4. Normally we have 500, 600, 700 listings active at Amazon. If you're looking to scale and grow your business, you're going to learn quite quickly that the way that you make money is spending your time building systems, spending your time sourcing, spending your time working on the business, not stuck inside your business, spending 5, 6, 7, 8 hours per week repricing your inventory. I'll be honest, you don't necessarily need a repricer, but as you grow your business, you're gonna wanna spend your time on higher leverage activities that make you a lot more money. And I know I'm harping on the time thing right now, but also like I had shared before, you wanna make sure your items are competitively priced. So if you could have an automated solution to literally be repricing your inventory all day long, you're gonna win the buy box more and make more sales. So at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself, at what stage are you in your reselling business? If you only have 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 listings, you could probably get away without having a repricer. But as you grow your business and as you scale your business, it's gonna become more and more profitable for you to actually have a repricer for the reasons I've already mentioned. So as I mentioned before, I use the Repricer Be Cool, and I'll put a link down below to a special deal that you can take advantage of for Be Cool. But I've been using them for 5 years. They've helped me to reprice and sell tens of thousands of products, and they have a bunch of different plans and whatnot that you can check out. I'll talk more about the specific repricer that I'm currently using in my business later on in this video, but I'm telling you, Be Cool is a fantastic repricer. Now, reason number 4 you might want to consider getting a repricer is because repricing controls your turnover and cash flow in your Amazon business. Now, if you're only going to thrift stores and maybe garage sales, flea markets, library sales, and flipping a couple of items, you might be thinking to yourself, cash flow? I'm not worried about cash flow. And that's true. When you're going to thrift stores and stuff, your cost of goods is so low that it's very easy for you to be profitable. You might not have a lot of inventory, your overhead and expenses is low, so you're thinking to yourself, cash flow really doesn't matter. But as you grow your business, and if you start to move into models such as wholesale or eBay to Amazon flips or Amazon to Amazon flips, your cost of goods is going to increase and your overhead overall in your business is going to be much higher. I don't know why I gave that 2 thumbs up. Higher expenses is 2 thumbs down. But the point I'm trying to make is when your overhead starts to increase and maybe your margins shrink, you have to really dial in your systems. You could sell $20,000 per month on Amazon, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be putting that in your pocket. And this is where cash flow comes into play. Now, this is a deep topic, but what I really want to say is when you set up your repricer the right way, it will help you to get your items to turn over faster. Also, it'll help you to be able to maximize the profits that you're making in your business. All in all, when you set up a repricer the right way, your items sell faster, you make more money, you're able to put more money in your pocket. And with that extra money, you're able to reinvest more money back into your business to be able to continue to grow your business and scale to the next level. Also, if you look into some of Amazon's metrics, they have an inventory score called your IPI score. So the more you turn over your inventory and the faster you turn it over, the better this score is going to be. All right, guys, so let's jump into my computer. I want to share with you exactly how I'm using Be Cool in my business. Now, actually, before I jump into the computer, let me share with you some of the different plans that Be Cool has, because I'm on their AI plan, so I'll dive into my computer and share how I use that. But they do have a couple other plans as well that you can check out. Now, if you are interested in joining Be Cool, be sure to check out the link below because I have a special exclusive offer that I've put together. Big shout out to Be Cool for helping to put this together. So check the link out down below in the description. All right, guys, so I'm over here at the Be Cool Repricing Central pricing plan page. Again, if you are going to sign up, I would definitely check out the link down below because we do have an exclusive offer for you. Now, Be Cool does have monthly plans and they have annual plans. If you want to save some money, you can definitely go with an annual plan, but if you're on a budget, I would recommend just starting with the free trial monthly plan. Now, the big difference here with the pricing tiers is going to be twofold. Number one is how many listings you have based on the rule-based repricing, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And then number two is how many AI listings you have. For me, when it comes to Be Cool, I'm all about the AI listings. I don't use any rule-based repricing strategies in my business. So for example, here you could see on the basic tier, you have up to 1,000 rule-based listings. So if you have maybe 1,000 items in your store, you can use this and you could reprice them based on specific rules. But it'll only give you the ability to reprice 50 of your listings with AI. Like I said, I don't use the rule-based repricing. I'm all AI. So for me, I typically have anywhere from 500 to 800 listings in my store. So this is the plan that I'm on, the AI Premium, because I'm able to list up to 1,000 items with the AI repricing essentially. Now there's something called a conditional repricer. Here you can see with the basic, there's all X's, so it's not included. But over here, there's conditional rules essentially that you can set up. And this is something that I do use. But to be honest, I don't use it all the time. But it is very valuable. For example, if you take a look at the inventory age conditions, you could set up rules where your listings will get repriced based on the age of the inventory, which is huge. And think about it. I mean, if you have listings that become 6 months old or beyond, you're gonna start getting hit with long-term storage fees. So you can set up a rule to reprice your items more aggressively based on the age. You could also do this based on your sell-through rate conditions, historical days of supply conditions, and even advanced conditions if you're FBA or FBM. So again, these are some benefits of having the next tier up in the plans compared to just the basic. So with that being said, let's dive into my computer once again. Let's go into BeCool, and I'm gonna share with you how simple it is to set up your AI repricer. So real quick, guys, before I dive into BeCool and show you how to use it, I wanna show you my dashboard right here inside of BeCool. So you can see, according to BeCool helped me to be able to sell $736,000 worth of products on Amazon. You can see that they helped me to reprice and sell over 6,000 products and win the buy box almost 44% of the time, which is really, really fantastic. So yeah, you can see that I am using this. You can see, you know, the different information right here. You can see the last 30 days. I've had just shy of 80,000 in sales, 576 AI orders, which is insane, close to a 45% buy box. And again, you know, I just want to share this with you to see that I'm actually using this and that it's helping me to generate real money in my business. All right, guys, so I'm inside of BeCool, and I wanted to share with you a couple of my listings and share with you how easy it is to actually turn on the repricer, how to set it up, how to set up your rule for AI repricing, which is what I do in my business because it's super duper simple, and just share with you some cool little parts of how I use BeCool and why I love it so much. All right, guys, so if you take a look in my screen, this is where you can see if your repricer is on and off, okay? So it's gonna pull in your inventory, and you're gonna be able to see the title, you're gonna be able to see the ASIN, the percentage you're winning it, FBA, FBM, the sales rank, your custom SKU, so on and so forth. So I just paused it, but I'm gonna turn it on right now. Now here's where you're able to put in your cost. So I always put my cost in my custom SKU right here, okay? So we rounded this up to $16, so this is our cost right here. And then what we're able to do is we're able to set up a minimum price and a maximum price. Now, this is one of the things that I love about BeCool, okay? We don't just have a list price. Of course, we choose what we want to list the item at, but we're able to set up what's called a minimum price and a maximum price. Now, think of this as if you're driving maybe on the highway and there's guardrails, right? Let's say, for example, hopefully this never happens, you're getting sleepy, or, you know, maybe you start turning to the right too much or turning to the left too much. You're not gonna go off the road, right? Because you have these guardrails. Well, think of this as what BeCool does, which is really cool. One guardrail is your minimum price and another guardrail is your maximum price. So the repricer will literally reprice in between those guardrails. Now the question is, could the price go less than the minimum or could it go above the maximum? It could, but only if you set up specific conditional repricing rules, which I typically don't, but you can. It's much more advanced. But for the average Amazon seller, you're not necessarily going to need that, but of course that's there at your disposal if you want to use it. So what I love about the minimum and maximum price with BeCool is it's very safe. You can't really tank your price and you can't really reprice it to some astronomical price that's never going to sell because you're able to set up the guardrails. And if you take a look here, you can see that our list price on this first one right here is $49.99. We have a minimum price of $45.99 and a maximum price of $55.99. So it means the repricer's only going to price in between $45.99 and $55.99. Now, if you hit the little calculator right here, this is pretty cool. Takes a second to load, but it'll essentially take into account your product cost, which I paid $16, and what the minimum price is if I sold it for the minimum, and I could calculate how much profit I would make, my margin, and my ROI, which is really, really cool. Now, this is where the magic's gonna come into play, and this is where it says your rule right here. So if you click this little drop-down button, BeCool has a bunch of different rules. Now, I'm not gonna dive too deep into all these rules right now, but just know that some of these rules are more aggressive, and other ones are a little bit more tame, less aggressive. What does that mean? Well, it means based on whatever rule you set, your repricer is going to be more likely to price it towards the high end or more likely to price it towards the low end, your minimum price or your maximum price. For example, if I end up choosing the rule AI Profit Booster, okay, instead of Sales Booster, the AI is going to be repricing it within your minimum and maximum price to maximize profit. So if I was maximizing profit, would that mean that I was repricing closer to my minimum or my maximum price? My maximum price, because it's trying to maximize the profit. So it means the AI repricer is going to be less likely to reprice it lower and lower, and it's going to try to get closer to your maximum price that you set within your repricer because you're going for maximum profit. Now, if I wanted to go back to AI Sales Booster, just based on how the name sounds, it's going to be more likely to do things within your minimum and maximum price to make a sale. So it's going to sacrifice a little bit of profit to make the sale. So if you go over to the BeCool website, they have a lot more information on what each one of these rules mean. So you could definitely check that out, but it's fairly easy to use. And this is what I love about BeCool. Again, I'm not here to just pitch BeCool this whole entire video, but I'm sharing what I'm doing, what I'm using, and this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. It helps out a ton. Now in the future, I'll definitely make more videos breaking down how to use BeCool, but overall, I mean, it's very, very simple. Put in your cost of goods, so BeCool could calculate your profits based on the min-maximum price that you sell it at if you want to know. Choose your minimum price and your maximum price, which again is the guardrails that BeCool will be using to price in between, and then choose your rule. Do you want BeCool to price more aggressively or less aggressively based on your minimum and maximum price? And of course, choose your list price as well. I usually choose a price that's in the middle between the min and maximum price, but there's different ways that you can go about this. So hopefully what I shared in the last couple of minutes will kind of help you to overcome the fears of having a repricer, because I feel like when I talk to my coaching students and people who are looking at getting a repricer, their biggest fear is, well, Steve, what's going to happen if the repricer tanks my price? And yes, it's possible for it to tank your price if you set up the wrong rule. But this is why I love using the minimum and max pricing within BeCool, and I like using the AI repricer. I don't have to worry about it tanking because it's impossible for it to tank. Again, unless you set up an advanced rule to do so. So hopefully, if you've been watching this video so far, this is kind of helping you to overcome your fears. And I definitely had the same fears in the beginning when I started using a repricer. Matter of fact, I used to use another repricer. I won't mention any names, but it actually did tank my pricing. And that's why I moved over to BeCool, the AI repricing, setting up the minimum maximum pricing, because it really helps to prevent that from happening. So if you're thinking to yourself, should I get a repricer? You really have to ask yourself these questions at the end of the day. How many listings do you have available in your store? If you're brand spanking new, if you don't have any items listed, if you only have 5, 10, 15, 20, you probably don't need a repricer right now. But if you have 50 items for sale, 100, 200, or if you're just super ambitious and you're like, you want to know what? It's the new year. I'm going to take my business to the next level. I highly recommend getting a repricer. Again, it's going to help you to win the buy box more. It's going to help you to improve your cash flow, and it's going to help you to be able to leverage your time so you can spend your time on activities that make you $50, $80, $100, $200 per hour instead of repricing your inventory, which in my opinion is something that you can just have a repricer do, which might only cost you $1 or $2 per day. So before I end this video, I want to leave you with this. In my opinion, if you want to scale your Amazon business, a repricer is not optional. It's clutch. It's key for your business. Secondly, I think that having a repricer is one of the most important first systems that you should implement in your business, because again, the foundation of your business is repricing your inventory correctly to win the buy box. If you're not repricing it, if you're going weeks without repricing it, you're missing out on a lot of sales. And I forgot to mention this, when I first started using BeCool in my eBay to Amazon business, when I set it up after 1 month, I had my best sales month ever. Matter of fact, if you follow Fields of Profit, he made a video about this as well quite a few years ago, saying if you set up BeCool, once you get your repricer set up, you're gonna have your best sales month. And that's what motivated me to start using it. And it was actually true. For me, having a repricer, I mean, it's been a big part of my success. Like I said, BeCool is the repricer that I personally use. So if you do wanna check it out, I will put a link down below for a special exclusive offer. So big shout out to BeCool for hooking us all up with that special deal. And I'm gonna be definitely making more videos in the future. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. I usually post 2 or 3 videos per week sharing tips and tricks for how to grow your Amazon business, sourcing deals, repricing, all different types of information. So definitely check that out. And again, guys, I appreciate you watching. You can check out the links down below in the description to get started with BeCool. But at the end of the day, the big thing I want you to take away is get yourself a repricer. If you're really trying to scale, if you have a bunch of listings, if you want to boost your inventory, boost your cash flow, get yourself a repricer.